Hello and welcome to the Ilene Silverman Show. I'm your host, Ilene, and on this week's program, our guest, Supervisor of Elections Pam Carpenter, provides important information about our two upcoming elections, August 30th and November 8th, so that you can participate and be election ready. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for our program. 2016 is an important election year, and to make sure that your vote counts, you need to know all your voting options. To tell us more, I'm pleased to introduce my guest, Pam Carpenter, Alachua County Supervisor of Elections. And Pam, it is wonderful to have you here and to get us election ready for this election cycle, which, yes, is very important, and I welcome you.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. This is going to be an exciting election year. There are so many different things going on out there, and so much energy flowing, and all focused on the 2016 election cycle.
Yes, and for you, this is your last few months as Supervisor of Election, and you've had 3 4-year terms. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. It has been an honor to serve the citizens of Alachua County as their Supervisor of Elections for 3 terms, and I appreciate having the opportunity to do that. I am looking forward to retirement and spending a little more time with my grandchildren.
Well, that's wonderful. And before you were Supervisor of Elections, you were already involved. How many years total have you been with the office?
Well, under the previous supervisor, Bev Hill, I worked with her for 10 years and then ran for office in 2004, so I've been in elections for 22 years.
Okay, you can take a rest.
Thank you.
And wait, and you have a brand new office there on Main Street. Tell us about that.
We do. It's been an exciting year for us coming into the election cycle. We have a new building at 515 North Main Street. And for those of you who have come to our office before, please note we have a parking lot now.
Yes, oh, it's great.
So we have lots of parking. And all of our poll worker training and everything is done on the ground floor, on floor 1. And then our offices for voter registration and other activities are on floor 3.
And wait, you have an elevator.
We have an elevator.
Don't have to walk up the steps. And election returns come in there.
Election returns will come into that office. We'll also have all of the canvassing board meetings there, and all of the poll worker training takes place there. Okay. So lots of activity.
So the public is welcome. That is the center point, and you have a great website and so much, to access, and as you said, for people to know. And so that's the word these days: get election ready, be election ready.
Absolutely. This is a huge election year, and we would like to get as much information out to folks as we possibly can, so that all of our voters here in Alachua County are ready for the great experience that we're all going to have with the upcoming elections.
I mean, it's a privilege to be able to vote, and you want to make sure your vote counts, because how sad when some bit of information that you didn't understand hampers you.
Absolutely. And the first thing is to make sure that you're registered to vote.
All right, and so that may sound simple, but how do you do that?
Well, you have lots of options. You can certainly go to our website, www.votealachua.com, and you can fill out the application on form. You do
Okay.
have to print it out, though, and sign it, because right now we're still required to have that original signature. That will be changing in the future, but for now, we have to have the original signature.
And okay, well, first, before we get into that, tell me the dates coming up, the 2 dates of our elections that everybody needs to have in their brain.
Okay, well, we have the primary, and that's coming up on August 30th. And we have a book closing date, which is the last date that you can register to vote.
Okay, so that's the important date. And when
On
is
August 1st.
that? Okay.
And also that we have the November 8th election, and the book closing date for that election is October 11th.
Okay, so that's important. If you need to register to vote, you want to vote August 30th, you got to get this done by August 1st.
Correct.
Okay. And what would be the need for someone to register to vote? I mean, that maybe needs to change. Maybe they've been voting, but there's all kind of different reasons. First, what about somebody who's just turning 18?
Well, that's what's exciting about here in Florida. Actually, you can pre-register at
Oh, good.
16, and when you turn 18, we will activate your voter registration and send you your card. But if you're just turning 18, I would encourage you to go ahead and get registered. We're into the high schools every year. We go in and pre-register high school
Yeah.
students so that they're going to be election ready for the elections that come up in the fall. Also, we encourage anyone who is eligible to register to go ahead and get registered prior to election day to make sure they're ready to vote.
And are there things people need to know? If you were going to register, you need to bring certain documents, you need to know that you qualify.
What you need to do is you need to be a resident of Alachua County to register here in Alachua County.
All right.
If you're moving here from another county in Florida and you're already registered in the other county, you can just change your registration to Alachua County.
Okay,
And that's different from a new registration.
So that's a different, okay.
It's a little bit different process.
Yes.
But if you're registering for the first time here at Alachua County, you need to be a resident, you need to fill out a voter registration application, and you need to register at your legal residence address. Florida law requires that you register and vote at the precinct of your legal residence.
Okay, interesting. All right. There's a lot more to discuss and much more to know, but we're going to take a quick break, Pam. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're back talking with Pam Carpenter, Alachua County Supervisor of Elections. And as we've said, Pam, you're getting us election ready. So let's go back and talk about the primary coming up, August 30th, Tuesday again.
Correct. Well, the primary is a really important step in the process. And actually, unfortunately, not as many voters come out for the primary as they do for the general. And I'd like to encourage them to change that pattern.
Yes.
Every vote counts, and every vote counts in a primary. It's just as important as your general election ballot is. Let me remind some folks about Florida's closed primary
Please,
system.
explain it more thoroughly.
Florida, by closed primary, it means that when you go in to vote in the primary election, you must be registered in the same party as the candidate you wish to vote for.
Okay.
So if you go in as a Republican, you are going to be given a Republican ballot. If you go in as a Democrat, you're going to be given a Democratic ballot. If you go in as a minor party candidate and there's a minor party candidate on the primary ballot, you're going to be given a minor party ballot.
Okay, so you've got to have all these ballots ready. Okay.
Right. And it's important that the voters know that because we are a closed primary state, they need to review what party affiliation they have. They need to look at the candidate selections, and they need to make all of this determination on what party they're going to be registered in 29 days before the election.
Because you could change your party affiliation in those, if you do it before the 29-day prior to August 30th window closes.
Absolutely.
You could change.
Florida
Okay.
law allows you to change your party selection, but when the books close on August 1st, that's when all the new registrations have to be in, and that's when all
Okay.
the party changes have to be made.
All right. Well, how many voters are in Alachua County? We know some new ones are going to register, but how many people are we talking about?
Well, we're seeing a steady increase in our
Good.
voter registration right now. Every day we get more and more new applications. So currently we're up over 163,000 voters. So I would imagine that we're going to be over 165,000 by the time we
Okay.
get to the general election.
Wow. So what would our ballot, now there are some nonpartisan decisions that could be voted on in our closed primary, right? That would be on the ballot that you can vote for despite your party affiliation?
That's
How does
correct.
that work out?
That's very important for the voters to understand that too. If you are not registered in one of the parties, or if you're registered in a minor party, there's still something on the ballot for you. All of the nonpartisan races, judicial races, school board races, are open for everyone to vote on.
Okay, nonpartisan. And what is a minor party?
A minor party is one of the smaller parties that
Okay.
is registered with the state of Florida. Your major parties are your Democrats and Republicans.
Right.
So it would be any other party that's registered in the state would be a minor party.
Okay.
So all of those voters can come out and vote, and there is a special election available for them too, a race on the ballot. The state is putting on one of the issues
that's
on
right.
the August ballot. Normally, the state doesn't put anything on the primary ballot. They're usually all on the November ballot. So there will be 4 issues on the ballot. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Issue number 4 will be on
in
the August
Okay.
ballot.
And then the others
And
turn up
in
in
November, you'll have 1, 2, 3, and 5.
And can you tell us what would those issues direct, or just kind of?
The issue that's going to be on the August ballot is one of the solar initiatives.
Okay,
So
excellent.
it's important for everybody to do their homework and study up on those issues and be able to make a decision on how they want to vote on that.
Well, I
But-
always appreciate getting a sample ballot, by the way, and
Ah!
seeing it in the paper and having that option. Go on, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and thank you for bringing up sample ballots, because we do mail those out to
I
all the
know, and I
households in
depend on
Alachua
that.
County, and I would like to remind folks that, prior to the election, look for those sample ballots.
I mean, it gives you a chance to look it over, discuss it, get yourself ready to vote, and it's just a real good stepping stone to that day that you're going to get there to vote.
And remember that because you have your sample ballot in hand, you could go ahead and pre-mark your sample ballot and bring it into the polling place,
Yes,
so
right.
that once you got into the polling place,
You
you'd
don't
be
freeze.
able to go ahead and fill out your ballot the way you want to
Accordingly.
fill it out.
No, I've done that, and I think it's a very good idea. And we still have much more to discuss, but we're going to take another break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You hear me now? Okay. I don't know if you can hear me now. Can you? Okay. Rolling.
We are together. We're back talking about the 2016 voting cycle. And Pam, everybody thinks of just going to the polls on that day, but there's a lot of different ways to vote. And there's knowing where to go to vote.
Well, we like to say voting is easy as 1, 2, 3. You can vote by mail, you can vote early at one of our early voting sites, or you can vote at your precinct on election day. So there are lots of options and lots of opportunities. There's no
Right.
reason not to vote.
I agree. Time frame on election day of a voting, for poll place. What time? You open at 7 a.m.,
The
7 to
poll
7?
on election day, the
Mhm.
polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Right.
And if you're going to vote on election day, you need to go to your polling place. Florida law says that's where you need to go on election
Okay,
day.
so you need to know where it is you're supposed to vote.
Correct. If you have any question, you should have a voter information card that's been sent to you. You can simply look at your voter information card, and that will tell you which precinct
precinct.
is yours and where it's located. If you don't have a voter information card and you need a new one, you just need to contact our office and we can get one to you. Another way to find out where your voting
Okay.
facility is you can go to our website
A
and
whole list.
click on Precinct Finder.
Okay.
You can simply put in a little bit of your own information. It will bring up your polling site, your address, and a picture of your polling place along with a Google map on how to get there.
Oh, now see, this is excellent information. And sometimes your precincts change. I mean, mine's been the same actually for quite a long time, but I know, and then that confuses people because they don't know, and then they show up, and then they don't go to the right place, and they don't vote.
We try to always put a sign out at an old precinct to remind you when you
Where
go
you go.
there to go to the new precinct. Also, by law, we're required to notify any group of people, any of our voters whose precincts have changed. And we are making one precinct change this election cycle. So precinct 33 will be in a different location.
Okay.
And those voters are being notified.
Notified. All right. And now you can just show up early. Tell me about early voting.
Well,
Which is
early
convenient,
voting,
very
early
convenient.
voting is exciting, and I'll tell
It
you what,
is, I
our
like
voters
it.
love it. We're always told how much they appreciate the opportunity to take advantage of early voting. For the August primary election, we have 3 early voting sites. We're at the Millhopper Branch Library,
My favorite.
the Tower Road Branch Library, and then we also have early voting at my office at 515 North Main Street.
Right, so people can see the new headquarters.
Absolutely, and we have parking.
Right, and just to avoid confusion, now you can go any of those specified
the-
early voting
any
sites,
of the 3
but
early
do not
voting
go back
sites.
to that site on election day because it is not a precinct and you cannot vote that day there.
Well, what you have to remember is we have one library that is actually a precinct, and that's
Okay,
one of the
so that
things
could
that we
throw it
have.
off.
Yeah.
Yes,
So they get a lot of people showing up there, and they have to direct them to the correct
to the
precinct.
correct precinct, yes.
But yeah, Florida
Okay.
law is anybody can go to any of the 3 early voting sites during the early voting time period.
Right.
Once early voting ends, then you need to go to your precinct to vote.
And I think that for candidates, early voting is extremely important, gives them a chance to really be out there and see people. And of course, when you drive up to an early voting, if it's, Millhopper Library, there's usually lots of the candidates or their representatives out there, and kind of a time to really get in touch with the issues. It's very effective, very important.
It's always very active at the polling places
Yes.
and at the early voting sites, not just with the voters coming out, but as you said, with the
Yes.
candidate signs and the supporters always out there encouraging people to vote.
Yes, I like that. That's what we want. Get election ready.
Get election
Okay,
ready.
We're taking another break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. We're discussing the 2016 voting cycle. And Pam, we're covering all the many ways you can vote, but, going to the polls, early voting, going on election day, and then vote by mail.
Voting by mail is a real opportunity. Anyone can vote by mail. All you have to do is contact our office and request that we send you a ballot. And then we'll get you on the list. And as soon as we have the ballots, we'll go ahead and mail them to you. So you have lots of time to look them over, make your choices, and fill out your ballot in the comfort of your own home. You do need to make sure that some things are in order, though, if you're going to vote by mail.
Tell. Yes.
One is you need to make sure that we have a current signature on file in our office. So in order to do that, you would just need to fill out a voter registration application form, mark that it's a signature update, and get it to our office so that we can put it on file.
Okay.
Because when we get your mail ballot back, we're going to compare the signature on the outside of the envelope to the signature on file to verify that ballot came from you.
So that's extremely important.
Very important.
And talk about the need to mail the ballot back in time.
That is so important. There have been changes in the postal regulations, and overnight delivery in the county is almost non-existent.
Right, that's not going to happen.
It was heartbreaking after the presidential preference primary. On Wednesday, the day after the election, we received over 100 ballots that had been postmarked on Monday.
People thinking that it'd be delivered the next day.
And
so you cannot wait.
They do not get to us. What we advise is that you at least mail them by Friday. We've noticed that if you get it picked up by your postman on Friday, we're probably going to get it by Tuesday.
Okay.
But we encourage you to get that ballot, make your decision,
so sad.
And get it back to us.
And so unnecessary, because you really mail the absentee ballots or the voting by mail ballots early enough that if people take care of it right away,
Absolutely.
there's plenty of time.
The law requires that we get the overseas ballots out 45 days before the election, and then the domestic ballots go out 35 days before the election. So there's plenty of time to make your choices and get your ballots back so we can count them.
Okay, but just in case somebody has not, kept up with it, somebody could take that ballot to the office.
Absolutely. If you waited till the last minute
and you cannot mail,
and you're not going to mail it, and we're not going to get it on time, we have a 24-hour drop box, secure drop box at our elections office that you can put your absentee ballot in.
Okay. So that's very important to know in case you procrastinated. Now thinking about all the people that could go to the polls, how do you keep all this going? What about those nice, friendly people, the poll workers?
Oh, well, we couldn't run elections without the poll workers.
Amen.
I have a very small staff, permanent staff, so we depend on our support on-call people, and we depend heavily on our poll workers. On election day, we can have as many as 500 people working to put on an election. These folks are your neighbors, your moms, your dads, your sisters, your brothers. They're a real cross-section of our community, and we really appreciate their efforts.
Yes, and you have training. They know what's happening. You can ask them questions. They're well trained. This is a whole process that people go through.
It is. Well, Florida law requires that they have a minimum number of hours of training prior to election day, and then the more responsibility you take on, the more training we require you to have.
Okay, so you people can you're ready to take on more poll workers. You need some more.
We are always recruiting for poll workers.
Can they go to the website?
They can go to our website. They can call our office. We would love to have them come on board. It's really exciting to be a part of elections, and that's a really good way to do it.
It is, and to be invested in that. And tell me one more time, Pam. Okay, early voting sites.
We have 3 early voting sites for the August election.
Right.
That's the Millhopper Library, the Tower Road Library, and my office at 515 North Main Street. Anyone can go to any one of those 3 sites during the early voting period. Once the early voting period is over, you do need to go to your precinct to vote.
Okay, and just to confirm and clarify, Tower Road Library is a precinct, so
Tower
is,
Road
if that's
is
your
also
area.
a precinct.
Right.
So if that is your normal precinct, you would go there to
You'd
vote.
be going back there
But only the people who live in that precinct can vote in that precinct on election
on
day.
election day. Well said. So many things to know. Thank you for getting us updated so that we, the voters, who need to get out there and vote, will be ready for August 30th and much later for November 8th. But I truly appreciate you, and congratulations to you on your many years. We appreciate all your service to the community as Supervisor of Elections.
Oh, thank you very much. And I'm so happy to have the opportunity to get election ready.
Yes, me too. Thank you, Pam. And I hope that you'll be ready to vote on August 30th for the primary, and don't forget the general election on Tuesday, November 8th. I'm so glad you tuned in, and I hope you'll join us next week. Take care.